Chapter 31, 10 Runes, Decarun Sealing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. From the above, Ufiar was observing this special student. From the start, he knew this isn't going to be an easy battle even for him. Despite that, he asked him to hold back his strength in the form of training. As he expected, he saw Azzy was trapped by the tornado. After all, strength isn't everything. Even if one can destroy a mountain with a fist, they can't destroy a simple pond with something like that. They will only split the water. Likewise, every problem has a method of defeating it. You can't use the same method for every problem. It won't work like that. Because he saw Azzy defeated the Black Knight and the Lava Beast with a fist, Ufiar already predicted Azzy would choose the same method to defeat the snake too. And everything went as he planned. The snake also used the fire tornado. But then, he saw the kid manage to redirect the soul energy to all parts of the body. It was easier to distribute the energy from the soul orb to the whole body, but is difficult to redirect the energy from a part of the body to another within a short time. What a genius! The teacher can't help but feel excited. But then, he saw the dark and corrosive energy expelled from him, destroying not only the skill but also the beast as well as affecting the surroundings. The lake dried up. The trees withered. In an instant, the land became barren as all the life has been lost. What is this dark energy? Ufiar's excitement turned into a horror. Unless he controls his strength, I must make sure that he doesn't fight alongside or against the peers. I need to meet the principal, right away. Meanwhile, as he saw the surroundings changed, he returned to the same place. The barren land once again turned into a beautiful lake and the beast once again came back to life, still sleeping on the lake bed. His charred body returned to normal and his soul power became full once again. He wondered. Previously, I returned to the classroom after defeating the beast, but now, the time was reversed back to the beginning. Suddenly, he remembered Ufiar's words. I see. Realization dawned upon him. Now, I understood one of the rules of this place. The master of this world placed a condition. The condition is that I need to pull the punches and kicks worth rank point 2. Unless I achieve that, I can't leave on my own, but what's worrisome is that. He glanced at the surroundings and remembered the scene where all the life became devoid as they were touched by his soul energy. Then, he remembered his spar against Evelyn back when he was at Violet Pavilion. Make sure not to use your soul skills against friends or weaker people. He remembered her warning. At that time, he thought the death energy was incredible, but now, he realized it was far more worrisome than his lack of control over the strength. As he sat on the grass instead of engaging the combat. Sitting in a meditative position, he closed his eyes. What is this kid doing now? Ufiar wondered as he continues to watch from the above. Then, his attention shifted to the other memory world where the 6 of them are fighting against the lava beast for the 4th time. Azzy was back into the mindscape to meet the Reaper and his pet wolf. Kronos, I need your help with. Yeah, I know. The Reaper interrupted with a nod as if he was expecting him to visit. Now, I'm going to teach you a sealing method. It is called Decarun Seal. Sealing. Azzy wondered what it is. The Reaper nodded, yes. It is a long-lost method developed by the first-generation Arcana Masters to improve control over their soul power and Arcana. With the help of energy, you can seal your soul orb and make a window to allow only a part of it. But, I warn you to never use it on others, at least in public. Why? Azzy asked him. The Reaper answered, it is a long-lost method currently only known to the guards of Black Citadel. Black Citadel. Azzy wondered what that is. He continued to listen, keeping his thoughts to himself. Reveal it unnecessarily to the world, only let you become a target. Not to mention, the Protoss energy will not just seal the soul orb of others, it will corrupt them. Azzy nodded, I understand. So, what should I do? First, concentrate on your soul orb. Now, I'm going to impart the knowledge of the 10 runes into your mind. Memorize the order, first. As he sat down and closed his eyes as the Reaper floated towards him and placed his skeleton hand on the kid's head. 10 unique symbols made from the runic alphabets appeared in his mind. As he memorized the order as well as their images before proceeding to ask, now. The Reaper answered, now, try to use some of the soul power and form the runes with the soul energy. These are 9 runes, each corresponding to a rank. Since you are rank 0.4, you only need to apply the first 5 runes. The first rune will seal 10, the second rune will seal 100, the third rune will seal 1000, the fourth rune will seal 10,000 and the fifth rune will seal 100,000 soul power. When needed soul power, you need to open the seal in order to let the soul energy flow through. 30 minutes later, Ufiar mumbled before he looked at his watch. Oh. It's almost time. As he snapped his fingers, Azzy and the other 6 returned to the classroom. He was startled for a second before complaining inside, damn. I can't even form the first rune. In an instant, the Reaper's voice once again resounded in his head. Of course, it isn't that easy since you know nothing about the runes. It would be more helpful if you study more diligently about the subject of runes in this academy. Suddenly, an arm was put over his shoulder, followed by a tone filled with excitement, dude. I didn't expect you were this strong. Azzy turned his head and looked at Gideon. He almost saw stars in his eyes. Gideon continued with a smile, I heard from Lark. We tried so hard but all of us faced death more than 6 times but you killed it with 1 punch. I bet you can take on most of the 10th grade students even without your arcana. Then, he leaned forward and whispered, Lark was complaining too much about you. It seems he's just jealous that someone stronger popped up. Azzy didn't know how to respond to Gideon, who was maintaining his liveliness even after facing death many times. Even now, he was feeling a little uncomfortable, remembering how his body was burnt and became charred just half an hour ago. He glanced at the others. I see. So, it's just this guy is abnormal. Except for Gideon and Lark, the others seem to be filled with despair. As for Lark, he seems to be frustrated. Azzy and Lark's eyes met. The latter turned his head away, clenching his fist. Now, attention, please. The teacher then brought everyone back to the senses. Until now, you have faced weaker beasts but now that all of you are upper grade students, in the Arcana world, you will face the beasts that are as strong as the one you faced, right now. You over there. He then pointed to Lark. Yes. Tell me what went wrong. Why haven't you been able to defeat the beast? Lark stood up and answered, we weren't strong enough. He then glanced at Azzy, if we had more strength backing us up, we would have killed it. Do you really think so? Ufiar asked him in return. Ha! Lark and the rest of the students were taken aback. They tried their best but their strength wasn't enough to defeat the monster. Its spikes on the back acted as a perfect shield as well as offense. The teacher then took out a memory storage card that has the function of a hard disk and projector. He poured soul power into it and a holographic video started playing before them. Let's discuss where you made mistakes as well as the ideal strategy. He played the first battle where Azzy made a mess. You should have understood from the first battle that Azrael has a terrible control over his strength. It is also the reason I isolated him from you, for the rest of the battles. Watching himself from the third party made Azzy wonder how much of a fool he is to charge alone, only to make a greater mess. Chapter 32 History Class. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As they are watching the videos of their battles, the 7 of them are too embarrassed to even look at the teacher. As if a professional critic writer judging food stalls on the street, he criticized the students for every little mistake. Even Azzy wasn't spared. He was even harshly criticized than the others. He felt unfair but didn't speak up his feelings and just blankly nodded as he knew the lack of his control, and it's also because the teacher didn't show his other battles. If he would have shown the others, as he knew that he would be treated as a monster instead, which he doesn't care. But Gideon was a member of the Crescent clan who might or might not have the knowledge regarding the death energy. What if he might be able to connect the dots? The last thing Azzy needs is for him to report it to the Death Clan. He knew he was too skeptical, but there's no harm done if you are careful. Training, the class bell rang and the sorcerer made his way out of the room. Soon, an old man entered the classroom. He wore white priest robes and has a cross in his hand, which was most likely an arcana. The good old history teacher who was working in this academy for almost 300 years. Even though he's only a mid-rank 5, everyone in the academy treats him with respect because of his position as bishop at the church, an ancient organization that's formed way before the first epoch when there's no such thing as soul power. He also received the Best Teacher of the Year award from the government more than 25 times. He smiled at the little saplings. Hello, children. My name is Klaus. I'm your history teacher for the upcoming 3 years. Let's get along. As he felt as if he saw light was emitting from his body, and he felt uncomfortable. Is it because they are of opposite attributes? No, that's not the case, since his attribute wasn't dark in nature but is a hidden death attribute. As for the life attribute, only a pure or a half angel is born with it. So, unless the person before him has the blood of an angel, it isn't possible. And an angel working as a teacher at such a school is more of a joke. So, he instantly threw the thought away and wondered about something else. He wondered why a priest is working as a teacher instead of spending time at church, orphanages, or giving speeches, etc. The old man also sensed Azzy, who has a dark element, an enemy of his attribute, a quite powerful one at that. As you all know, the history of Arcana is quite a simple subject yet complex. It's just like the normal history subject, but the events covered will be focused on Arcana Masters and the world of Arcana. Since it is the first day, I'll let you choose the topic. Who wants to pick a topic? How about you, child? He pointed towards Azzy. Me. As he pointed at him, Klaus shook his head. Not you, the boy beside you. But then again, it doesn't matter who I ask, the end goal is still doesn't change. Azzy then remembered about his Vajra. He wanted to know how powerful the Protoss energy really is. Since it was a well-known event, Azzy thought that it is the best chance to find something about it. He asked, I was wondering if you can tell us about the Great Massacre of the last epoch. Great Massacre. The others also became curious. They only know the result but didn't know the details since it is too dark. Only Lark, who was from the noble family, knew about it. Meanwhile, Gideon was taken aback since the story was something that was too familiar to him. The priest nodded with a smile. Sure, child. Roughly around 6,800 years ago, back when the governments aren't formed and the nations were kingdoms, there existed a man named Elias, the Crescent clan leader of the current Fryless nation. You all might know him as the lightning god. He was also considered as the son of heaven and reached the rank 0.9 in just 1,000 years and took another 1,000 to reach the peak stage. You can say he reached the pinnacle of human limits, just an inch away from stage 10. All that's left was to kill a peak stage rank 0.9 beast and consume its power to enter the next stage, but the other rank 0.9 experts didn't want him to achieve that. They feared that once he enters such a realm, they will no longer be able to control his actions if he were to do something. So, colluding with the royal family, they laid a trap for him, but unfortunately, his son and wife caught up instead of Elias. Burning with rage, he went against the royal family. As if he was possessed by the devil, he fought crazily until his last breath without caring about his wounds. In the process, the citizens of Fryless were massacred. Almost half of their population was erased from the world. Now, history records say the estimated number is around 20 million, but in reality, it might be more. Along with the people, our world has lost more than 18 rank 0.8 experts, 5 rank .9 experts, and God knows how many Arcana masters with great potential. Now, some of you might sympathize with his situation, but what should learn here is that for an Arcana master, no matter the conditions, you always need to be calm and collected. Because you lose cool and make a mistake in rage, countless innocents will die. A person without control over his power is dangerous than the beast. The higher his strength, the more he is dangerous to society. The 6 of them immediately glanced at Azzy, who was the living example of such a person. On the other hand, Azzy felt embarrassed for asking a question only to get lectured in return. He also understood the consequences of using Proto's energy. He remembered the Reaper saying how the Proto's energy corrupts one's mind. He was also a victim of that. Mr. Klaus, I heard that werewolves used to exist in the 7th epoch, but there are no public records of why they became extinct. I wonder if the church has records of it. Gideon then dropped a question. Werewolves. Azzy wondered what kind of beast it is. He never heard of such a term before. Ah. You are talking about man-made demi-humans, huh? The bishop was surprised for a moment. Didn't expect you know that forbidden term, child. Forbidden term. Everyone was confused. He explained, long ago during the 5th epoch, some evil researchers tried various experiments to breed an artificial creature from a human and beasts. Of all the beasts, only wolves became a successful experiment. They are demi-humans with the appearance of humans and had the ability to transform into wolves whenever they need them to be. But, ultimately, by the 7th epoch, they ended up seeing the humans as lower life forms or food, becoming the enemy of humanity and were erased as a result. Some speculate that a few survived the crises by going into hiding, but who knows? No one has seen them till date. 10 minutes later, the bell rang again. There was a 5 minutes break before the next class started. The people found their homeroom teacher returned. It appears that he teaches the subject of arcana beasts and creatures of the wild. Azzy almost fell asleep because of his lay and boring explanation. Unlike the previous classes, there are no explanations. The teacher was just giving them the information one by one, ignoring the kids who raised their hands. Azzy felt listening to the class and reading the book by himself is just the same. He wondered why such a lazy person chose to be a teacher. After an hour, the bell once again rang and the teacher stepped out. The students rejoiced that they got rid of him. While the grade .7 and lower grade students left the academy, the upper grade students stayed. They were informed to gather at the training grounds for the next 2 classes. Azzy followed the rest of the class. Chapter 33 Card Creation Class Part .1 You are listening at novelfull.audio. While the rest of the lower grade students are on their way to the school gate, the upper grade students of all divisions except for the dropouts division were summoned at the training grounds. .1. Azzy followed Gideon and the rest of the class to the downstairs. He saw a group of around 17 members gathered on the side. Azzy saw there are hardly any girls in this group. He wondered whether this is a male-dominated school or something. Once again, he saw the pretty sister and the arrogant student council president. They were called to stand along with them so that the elite division can move together. Azzy and Leonard's eyes met. The latter's expression darkened while Azzy looked at him blankly for a second before he followed the rest. Azzy was the only one in grade .8 who didn't greet him. Leo thought of teaching him a lesson in the combat class. Dnov clap getting everyone's attention, Zona said, okay, now that all of us are here, let's get going. As Azzy followed the group from behind, he realized they were going in the same direction as the auditorium. Only after getting there, he found out that the training grounds is right behind the school auditorium, all along. The wall behind the auditorium that he thought to be the outer walls of the school turned out to be the wall for the training ground. .1. Upon reaching the massive door, Leo everyone to wait until the students from the other 3 divisions have also arrived. Despite their age, gender, or rank, they greeted the elite division with a light bow. It was actually more like they are greeting the prince, but since the rest of the members are standing behind him, it appeared that way. The girls in other groups, especially grade point 9 and grade point 10, are murmuring among themselves. With his current strength, it wasn't hard for Azzy to hear their murmurings. All it needs a light concentration. But, soon, he realized that it's just a useless discussion of how handsome the student council president or the vice president looks. They are made for each other, blah, blah. Leo then used his key card to unlock the entrance, and after everyone entered the place, he locked it. Let's go. Standing on the platform, Azzy looked around in curiosity since it is the first time he's here. He found out that this training ground is quite different from the one he went to participate in a test. Instead of some barren land, it has a number of various habitats. This isn't a natural habitat. Azzy mumbled to himself. Gideon, who heard it from beside, explained, "You are right. This round was made by the principal when the school is founded. At first, it just contained different habitats, but over the course of time, the academy further developed it." I see. Azzy nodded. A few students nearby glanced in their direction upon listening to their talk. After all, that kind of information is known to everyone. As they were unfamiliar with Azzy, they wondered whether he's a transfer student. Azzy felt the gazes for a while, but since he was used to it, he didn't care about it. But what troubled him is a certain gaze from somewhere. It was a malicious gaze. Ho ho. Interesting. Reaper's voice filled his head once again. Azzy asked him, "What is it, Kronos?" But, there's no reply from him. At first, he thought of Leonard as he's the only one who hates him, but it proved otherwise. Leo was busy talking with his friends. Then, who is it? He found it was from another student nearby him, but wasn't able to figure out who. Having no other choice, Azzy behaved as if he didn't sense it. They reached a hall, containing 3 sections and a podium with a large screen on the wall. Since divisions or grades don't matter anymore, they sat together. Azzy ended up sitting with Gideon. On his left, a girl took the empty spot. Since it is the first day and no one wore any uniform, Azzy didn't figure out which division she's from. "Hello." A sweet voice entered his ears. Azzy turned his head. He found a fellow foreigner. Even without talking to her, just looking at her blonde hair and ocean blue eyes, one would figure out that she isn't a citizen of the North Kudur nation. Either that or one of her parents might be foreigners and she received their genes. As Azzy looked at the girl, he found out she's just a high rank point 3. The only thing that stood out about this 14-year-old girl is her appearance, which is unique compared to the rest of the schoolmates. She can be considered beautiful but not the popular type to date. He returned the greetings with a plain tone. "Hello. I haven't seen you around before. Are you a transfer student?" She asked the same question as Gideon at the orientation. He nodded. "I'm Claire Lefevre, Soul Weapon Division, grade point 9. Lefevre. What a surname." Her accent is also a bit different. "Maybe, a noble from a distant country." Putting his thoughts aside, he replied, "Azrael, Elite Division, grade point 8. Nice meeting you." She smiled. He nodded blankly. After that, there was no conversation between them. Maybe, she wasn't interested to talk to him anymore. Who knows? Their teacher arrived at the classroom. When tried to sense her rank, Azzy felt that this old lady is more powerful than the old Avia, which explains her strength must be at least mid-rank point 7. Who is she? He took the initiative to ask Gideon, this time. Sahara Fawns, our academy's vice-principal. Misunderstanding that he asked her, Claire quickly answered him, she's the only rank point 7 in the academy except for the principal. She's his wife, by the way. Together, they found the school. Ha! How romantic is that? 2 rank point 7 couple. Azzy was indeed amazed. Even though the Death Clan contained many experts, He didn't see a single couple that gets to live 1,000 years together. How amazing is that? The only couple he heard in the clan is his parents. Hello, new students. She addressed the grade point 8 that is new to this subject. My name is Sahara Fawns. You can call me Mrs. Fawns. Don't need to be too formal with me. Azzy was excited about this lesson. Not only will his fellow classmates start learning with him, but also he was interested to see what kind of skill cards he can create with his attribute. Now, let us start with the introduction. To put into simpler terms, card creation follows the same way as one creates their soul card, except that you will manifest it according to your will. She raised her hand and Azzy saw visible soul energy on her right palm. In her left hand, a blank card appeared. Showing it to others, she continued, all you need is to concentrate on controlling your soul energy and seal it into the blank cards. The blank card sucked the soul energy that was dancing on her palm and a drawing appeared. The screen behind her showed the skill card. Chapter 34 Card Creation Class Part Point 2 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Azzy saw a fireball on the card that the old lady created in an instant. Showing the skill card to the students, Sahara spoke, this is but a simple skill, a very basic one. You can see that unlike the item cards, instead of the color, it only has the number. 2 black stars appeared on the back of the card. Just like the stages in an Arcana rank, it also has 3 stages. Basic, Intermediate, and Advanced. Black stars refer to a basic level. Red stars refer to intermediate, and gold stars tell that it is an advanced level card. The required soul power is different for each one, according to their level. For example, this fireball is a basic 2-star card. The required soul power you need to consume to activate this card is 100 to 300, depending on your mastery. Likewise, the intermediate one would consume 300.600 and the advanced one would consume 600.1000. Some geniuses can activate the cards with far lesser soul power, but they are exceptions. So, we don't take them into account when we are considering them in general. As for the usage, you can use these blank cards until rank point 3. Rank 4 to rank 6 needs a card made from special materials. Some of you might know them as metal cards. She takes out a card that looks like some bronze plate. This card made from bronze metal is used to make a rank point 4 card. Taking out another 2 shining cards, rank point 5 is silver and the rank point 6 is made from gold. And as for rank point 7 and above, they need custom materials. You can't find them in the market. Either you have to craft the card for yourself or meet a card crafter to make them for you while you acquire the required materials. The most popular material used is mithril ore, but they aren't easy to acquire either. There's another way to obtain those though. You can either join the royal family or the government. Once you are a rank 7, you are welcomed openly in arms in every nation. Anyway, that was something you don't need to worry about now. What you need is to concentrate on making your first card. I need to warn beforehand. Card creation isn't as easy as fighting a beast. Not everyone is talented to create a card. Some will take a day, some will take a week or even a month. Clap clap asterisk. Now, grade point 8 students, move far from each other. There must be at least 3 feet distance between each of you. I don't want any accidents to occur. All of you will first learn how to bring out the soul energy from your soul or to outside of the body and control it. As usual, grade point 9 and grade point 10 students will go to the training room and wait for me. I'll teach you the method of creating advanced level cards. Meanwhile, practice creating an intermediate skill card. Grade point 10 students, you will mentor your juniors. Good luck. To Azzy's surprise, the senior who sat beside him spoke with a smile before leaving with her classmates. Azzy didn't get to say thank you. Just as he was about to, Gideon whispered from the right, looks like you caught Miss Lefevre's attention. Azzy saw a grin on his face. He didn't understand what Gideon meant. He shrugged his shoulders and no longer paid attention to the matter. Everyone close your eyes. Sahara started teaching them as everyone spread throughout the room, maintaining distance from each other as she advised. As he closed his eyes. Now, the easiest way to gather soul energy is through the hands. So, try to redirect your soul energy towards one of your hands. If you are lefty, prefer the left hand, if you are a righty, prefer right, and if you are ambidextrous, then, your choice. Azzy, who was already struggling with the lack of control, gathered more than half of his soul energy into his hands. His soul power was decreased by almost 40,000. Sahara, who was observing everyone, frowned as she looked at Azzy. That's way too much. Does this boy have a lack of control over his soul power? Or is it intentional? She then spoke, now, imagine the most precious thing, something you like. It can be anything from an object to a living thing. Her voice appeared hypnotic to everyone. A lot of things that he liked appeared in his mind and disappeared. Book of Death, the Reaper, the Wolf, his grandpa, his parents who he never met, Evelyn, his hourglass, toys that he liked when he was a kid, his storage card, etc. But in the end, the only book is left in his mind. Azzy was shocked, finding that the Book of Death is more precious to him than even his grandpa or the parents. Is it because my grandpa is now a different person and my dead parents are alive? So, I no longer care about them. Azzy wondered. He wasn't capable of understanding his inner feelings in his present state. Meanwhile, Sahara's voice continued, now, think of that thing is just a few meters away from you while you are chained to a pillar. Azzy felt her voice isn't like Evelyn or the rune teacher, Exia. Unlike those who can use it naturally, this one contains soul power. It's an ability all rank .7 or above experts have. They can cause illusions to weaker people with just words. And the illusion already took effect. Even Azzy wasn't able to resist it and found himself in a dark room. He found a desk before him and the Book of Death is placed on it. It was now burning. His hand reached out to it, unconsciously, but it was just a few inches away from touching the book. He heard a whisper in his head, if you don't hurry up, your precious thing will be gone away. Surpass your limits and reach out your hand. Isn't this a bit similar? This isn't the first time he emitted the soul energy from his body, although it ended up in a disaster. As soon as he realized the meaning behind the illusion, suddenly, he felt the chains no longer bound him and he grabbed the book on the table. The fire was also put off. He returned to reality. Good. You understood the concept. What are you waiting for? Force the soul energy out of your hands. Sahara's voice entered his ears. Bam! The chairs under Azzy crumbled and he was flattened to the ground as the soul energy gathered into his palm that was pointing towards the ceiling. As soon as it was gathered, it was shot into the ceiling like an energy beam, causing everyone to flinch because of the loud noise and sensing powerful energy. Sahara was taken aback to see a large hole in the ceiling. She stared at the ceiling in a daze. Not even dust remained. Just how destructive is that dark energy? Chapter 35 Troublesome Lunchtime. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Principal's Office, Acleon Academy. Student Azrael, you have caused so much trouble on the very first day, Barton Everglade spoke while staring into Azrael's eyes. In the allotment test, you have killed Instructor Herman's golem, blew up the testing machine. Theoretical combat teacher Ufiar mentioned that you lack terrible control over your power, that you have caused the death of your teammates. Now, you have broken the auditorium ceiling. Azzy replied with a simple question, am I being expelled? He doesn't care whether he will be expelled or not. It was only out of obligation towards his grandpa and grandma did he accept the proposal to go into the academy. Or else, he would happily go into the wild and be a rogue arcana master, training on his own. The Reaper is there to help him out. Contrary to his thoughts, the principal smiled, no, quite opposite. I would like to teach you personally. I think you have the potential to get a seated position in the World League, representing our nation. Azzy, who didn't know what World League is, now connected the dots. He quickly understood it. It is probably a grand international competition between nations, and every nation must have a seated spot that's probably earned by some other methods like recommendations, national tournaments, etc. With 2.5 years of training, I believe top 10 wouldn't be a dream anymore. He then became silent, waiting for Azzy's reply. My master told me that a person can only take one master in their life, Azzy replied in an emotionless tone. Barton was taken aback by his words, especially the way his tone is while speaking. While he was wondering whether Azzy meant he was too weak to be considered as his master, Azzy's next words made him understand the point. I already have a master. Despite not being able to learn a single thing from her, she's still considered my master. I see. Barton was disappointed a little bit and thought it was normal that a genius like him would have already caught someone's attention. But then, something clicked in his mind. He wondered whether that lady might have either tricked this NA.VE little fellow or she might from a powerful clan. The latter is unlikely, or else, how can one explain his lack of control at this age with such a high soul power? Barton then explained, actually, those were the customs of the ancient era. We don't practice them in modern times anymore. To take one as their master, and live with their master or the clan compound, such methods have long been disappeared. Nowadays, you can become a disciple of any number of masters, just like how masters took a lot of disciples. If a disciple has more than one master, she needs to consider one of them as his prime master and the rest of them will be secondary masters. There's a ritual for that, but you don't need to know of it, right now. Anyway, once you have assigned a person as your prime master, you cannot take anyone else as your master, and you cannot change the position of prime master in life. These are the current rules of the master-disciple relationship that everyone follows, but then again, everyone is free to follow their own rule. It's just a matter of whether others will like your methods or not. Upon hearing the explanation, Azzy understood that his grandpa might have told him that because the Death Clan is an ancient hidden clan that has its own set of rules. He wondered whether his grandpa always knew that the Death Clan will come and take him away. Maybe, that's why he wished for him to awaken a healing arcana. The next day, after the morning classes are over, Azzy went to the cafeteria for lunch. From grade 3 to grade point 10, the students belonging to the elite division are lining up with their trays at the counter and getting their seats. The dining hall is massive that even if a student chose to eat alone, they can find a separate table with chairs. Except for 2 tables that are filled with a mixture of grade 9 and grade 10 students, similar to the seating arrangement in his classroom, as he saw almost everyone is eating solo like the previous day. At first, he thought it might be because the divisions keep changing and they are new to each other, but now, he understood that most of the elite division students are considered loners. Hey, look who's here. It's that guy from yesterday who blew up the ceiling. Someone from the grade point 10 spoke to Leonard. Leonard turned around and frowned, looking at him. Naturally, the students around him also heard his words and turned their heads towards the door. Meanwhile, Azzy felt many gazes were on him, but they are filled with more hatefulness than the previous day. You really have the nerve to show your face after messing up. An older student who was sitting in Leon's group suddenly flared up. Perhaps he wants to impress the prince, or he is genuinely unhappy with Azzy. Who knows? The lower grade students turned their attention towards the direction where he was pointing. They wondered what's going on. The 7 of the grade point 8 students halted in surprise. Supporting him, a grade point 9 student who was linking her arms with Leo spoke in a sweet tone, "Isn't the disciplinary committee's job is to discipline the troublemakers? To repair the auditorium, the school management has to allocate some funds, right? Should he be left off as if nothing happened?" Zona, who heard her words from a nearby table, narrowed her eyes. This be H trying to cause trouble once again, tap amid the gazes, as if he wasn't talking to him, as he left the group and walked towards the counter, and took the tray before standing at the back of the line. You. Getting ignored by Azzy made the older student angrier. Azzy saw the students before him and the girls in the other line are staring at him. He didn't speak a word. They turned around. Ha ha ha. Another grade .10 student laughed as he grabbed the shoulder of this idiot who blabbered his mouth and got ignored, very bold. I like this junior's personality. Getting the food, Azzy turned around and found an empty table. He went and sat down. Just as Gideon was about to follow him, his arm was grabbed by Lark. Don't. He gestured with his eyes. Gideon glanced around. He saw the prince was silently staring at Azzy. Others are also staring at him. So. Gideon swats away his arm. If you want to abandon your classmate, feel free. I won't. Lark saw Gideon's expression was cold. Fine. Dig your grave, then. Gideon might not care, but Lark comes from a lower noble house. He can't go against someone from the royal family or else his family will suffer. Hey. Gideon greeted Azzy before taking his seat opposite to him, sharing the table. Azzy was surprised about his action. As a smart person, he already expected he'll be alienated soon but didn't think this deskmate would stick with him instead of leaving him alone. Maybe, it's because he's from the Crescent clan. Or is it because he pities Azzy? Or maybe, he realized that his arcana is of platinum grade. Or did he find out about the allotment test? Azzy wondered about Gideon's reasoning but he didn't say anything. He simply ate his lunch while listening to Gideon's blabber about this and that. Even though he was unclear of Gideon's intentions, he felt happy inside. Chapter 36 Sparring Robot Part. 1 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! Where are you going? Gideon asked Azzy after the lunch break as he went downstairs instead of going towards their classroom. I have somewhere I need to be. I'm done for today. Azzy answered him vaguely before leaving his sight. It made him wonder whether this new friend is trying to skip the class on the very second day. If so, then, what reason? Bored? Not interested? Or was threatened? The behavior of their senior towards Azzy made Gideon suspect all kinds of conspiracy theories. In the end, he shrugged his shoulders and went back to the classroom. Azzy exited the building and started walking towards the administration building that was connected to a straight road from the school gate. It was also the place where Azzy attended orientation. As he already came here, a day before, without any guide, Azzy reached the principal's office. He knocked on the door. Come in. Azzy entered the room and saw the old man was reading some sort of file. He was wearing reading glasses. There are a lot of files on the desks. A peak.rank .7 needs glasses to read it. I can understand Gideon using glasses as he was born with an eye problem, but what about this guy? Azzy kept his opinion to himself. Azzy greeted him with a bow and cupped his fists. Disciple greets the master. You really follow the old ways, didn't you? He commented with a smile as he closed the file and took off the glasses. Take a seat. As Azzy took the opposite seat, Barton spoke. Actually, Ufiar's lessons would be very useful to you, but the other teachers are going to unhappy if I allow you to attend only his class. Azzy nodded in understanding. Barton then handed a card to him. It looked similar to the one Leonard used to open the gate, earlier day. Take this. You can have access not only to all the facilities in the school except for this room, but it also can be used as a credit card. This is a no limit card. You can use 100,000 credits as you wish, but anything more than that, I will need an explanation. 100,000. That's not much. Azzy thought as he took the card. But then, again, he was grateful for his assistance as he doesn't wish to depend on Oakley and his family too much. Thank you, Master. Even though they are considered his family, one is being his grandpa who raised him and the other is being his master, Azzy felt that he has connections with their future version. The present ones have nothing but kind strangers who gave him a place to live in. After taking the access and credit card, Azzy left for training grounds. Point 1, following the principal's orders. Entering the training grounds, he roamed around. The previous day, he didn't get that luxury. Now that he's free, Azzy takes a look at each habitat. There's an artificial lake with little islands on the. There's a mini forest but with no animals. The occasional chirping of birds can be heard from time to time. Azzy then saw land with rocky structures, then, grasslands. There's a minefield with danger signs on the border. Azzy didn't go in there and looked for other habitats. There's even a football field and baseball field here. He wondered whether the students will also play soccer and baseball. He then entered the indoors. There's a fitness room with gym equipment. Like soccer and baseball, there are also courts for indoor sports like basketball court, table tennis court, etc. As for the training rooms, there are various types, but the one Azzy likes the most is the gravity room. Even though the maximum gravity is only thrice that of the original, still, Azzy was impressed. For a school with mediocre standards, he felt their training facility is indeed good. Maybe, this is the reason, the princess offered him to attend. This might even be the best school in the country, regarding the training facilities. 2 hours later, in one of the training rooms, Barton and Azzy stood beside each other. In front of them, there are 3 robotic machines. Barton started to explain. I bet I have already mentioned about your lack of control. Azzy nodded. We'll focus on that. He then took out a small remote and pressed a button. 2 robots moved aside and stood against the wall. But, first, I need to see your full strength. Summon your arcana. Azzy heard the same words from his master that Afiar spouted in the previous day. The result turned out to be disastrous. As Azzy glanced at the robot, he didn't sense its strength. Not because it was stronger, but he sensed neither arcana nor even soul power at all. For a 12-year-old kid who didn't have that much knowledge regarding science and technology, it was too difficult to understand. In his eyes, it was just an ordinary machine built with a metal body. Am I going to train with this lump of metal? Azzy wondered as he looked at the robot. He felt that it will be destroyed too quickly. Don't underestimate it. Even though this is just a basic version of the actual thing, this is equivalent to a peak rank .6 Arcana Master. The other 2 are rank .7 and mid rank 6 respectively. All of them also have precise control and can adjust their strength based on the situation or the enemy. The government gifted us these because of our performance in the World League. Oh. Azzy became intrigued upon hearing that. I sense a great nuclear energy inside this robot. The Reaper's voice resounded in his head once again. Nuclear energy. What is it? Azzy wondered. The Reaper who grasped his thoughts explained, it is energy extracted from the core of an atom. It is a fundamental particle that presents everywhere in nature. Even your body contains 100 trillion cells filled with atoms. However, humans who attempted to. Listening to his explanation, Azzy thought the Reaper became talkative these days. Not that I enjoy it. HMPF. The Reaper's voice made him shut his thoughts. As Barton moved back, Azzy summons Vajra. He still didn't summon his arcana weapons, intending to keep them as a secret. Grr. A black wolf with black lightning sparks over its body appeared beside Azzy. It immediately bared its teeth towards this strange metal, treating it as a threat. At least, that was its intuition. Ready. Azzy heard Principal's voice and the robot's eyes glowed into the blue. It spoke in machine voice, sparring mode, on. Vajra, attack. It ran towards the machine like a flash, intending to eliminate this threat. Barton was surprised, watching the wolf's speed. It isn't just a platinum-grade beast. It is top-notch in terms of speed, but... What? Azzy was shocked to see that the wolf's neck was caught by the robot and was raised high before it threw towards him. As he dodged at the last second and the wolf crashed onto the wall. Chapter 37 Sparring Robot Part. 2 You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You shouldn't let your arcana charge head on towards a stronger enemy. Barton's voice echoed in Azzy's eyes as he saw his wolf was crashed onto the wall and fell on the floor. Strangely, the walls weren't even cracked a bit. But Azzy's attention wasn't on that but his master's words. The only problem was that he never trained with his arcana. It hasn't even been that long since he started combat training. He does know how to fight with fists or with his scythe but not with the wolf. What tricks can he use to battle this robot? He doesn't have a clue. Using their telepathic connection, he conveyed the same to Vajra and asked it to use its instincts since he doesn't have any tactic in his mind. Following Azzy's order, Vajra charges head on once again but this time, at the last second, it changes its direction in the last second, evading the robot's hand that was about to catch it again. It tried to bite the robot from behind but its hands are faster. Instead of trying to catch, the left hand swatted the wolf, making it crash onto the wall once again. Grr. Shaking its head, it growled while looking at this powerful enemy who hadn't moved from the spot. Meanwhile, the old man's voice once again resounded in his student's ears. Do you see it now? Azzy replied, it indeed has precise control. It has a peak. Rank 0.6 strength and yet, my Vajra hasn't been harmed a bit. Forget about being injured, there hasn't been a scratch on it. I asked a vague question but he answered it correctly. What a smart kid. The old man smiled upon hearing Azzy's answer. He was satisfied with it. Assume the roles are reversed. The robot is a high rank 0.4 with perfect control and your wolf is a peak. Rank 0.6 with a lack of control. Who do you think will win the battle? Suddenly, he dropped a question. Azzy grabbed his chin and mumbled, can the robot win? He wondered whether that's really possible. Thinking for a while, he opened his mouth. Obviously, not, Azzy answered it firmly. Oh. The old man was intrigued. This time Azzy's answer was different from his thoughts. Why? He asked him the reason. If my Vajra is a peak. Rank 0.6, then, it will have the speed of at least mid-rank 0.7 beast. Even with perfect control, can that machine able to react to Vajra's speed if that were the case? Ah. Yes. What you are saying might be right. Barton became flustered for a second. He only wanted to tell him the importance of control but didn't expect Azzy to counter him with simple logic. Barton knew that the robot can analyze Wolf's moments even if the latter is a higher rank as it has nothing to do with its power. However, if it limits its strength to rank 0.4, then, despite knowing the attack in advance, its body won't be able to keep up against the wolf. He calms down himself and explained, what I'm trying to tell you is that with perfect control over your strength, you won't be wasting your soul power unnecessarily. After all, in a battle, the first to empty his soul power will be defeated. Azzy wanted to argue, not necessarily but in the end, he kept quiet and shifted his attention towards the spar between his wolf and the robot. The former was getting angrier while being crashed onto the wall a number of times. As a former weapon of the King of the Heavens, its pride was hurt and the sparks around it became thicker and bigger. Soon, it surrounded the wolf. Slowly, a giant head that resembles the wolf appeared over it in the form of dark energy with lightning sparks all over it. Its eyes are pale yellow without any pupils. Azzy felt his soul power dropped from 77,000 to 72,000. He wondered, is this a soul skill? Wow! It let out a powerful bark. The head around it moved towards the robot, opening its mouth and revealing its sharp teeth as if it wants to bite and swallow the enemy. The sparring bot quickly analyzed it within a fraction of a second and then, spoke in its robotic voice, incoming attack, peak. Rank 0.5 strength. Activating Divine Shield. As it raised its arms, a blue shield appeared before the robot like a wall and completely blocked the incoming attack. What the? Barton suddenly cried out in surprise. His eyes shook as he saw the shield is slowly developing cracks on it before it bursts and disappear. He thought, they told that the divine shield was supposed to withstand a soul skill from a platinum-grade beast of even a rank .6. That means, even if this beast is a top platinum grade, a rank .4 beast's soul skill should only able to scratch it at best. Then, how was it able to destroy the shield? Is that beast a dual attribute, one with dark and lightning? Despite living for almost 600 years and encountering many geniuses, he wasn't this much flustered as now. Meanwhile, Azzy was as calm as ever. He experienced a similar thing back when he was sparring against Evelyn. The only difference is that before, his death energy slowly corroded the shield and now, it was slowly cracked. He knew that it is impossible for the black lightning to damage a higher level shield. That would only mean the situation happened because of Proto's energy. How wild is that energy? Azzy wondered about it. He also felt more curious about this Proto's energy that even gods hate. Divine shield, failed. Azzy then heard the robotic voice once again. Defense mode level .2, activate. This time a red shield appeared in its hand as if it gestured the wolf to attack again. While Azzy felt no changes in the robot, he still thought that this shield might be stronger since it initiated to challenge the shield. He also felt the robot is childish despite not having any emotions. Those scientists probably programmed that way. On the other hand, Barton frowned, as soon as he sensed an aura of mid-rank .7 from the shield. Hostile mode, that soon? No, its eyes are still blue. So, it isn't activated or else, there will be an energy cannon or sword in its hands. The hostile mode is a program, which makes the robot more initiative in attacks. It won't hold back and fight seriously. Once again, Bajra dashed towards the robot, which was intending to block its attack with its red shield. As the wolf reached its opponent, it raised its paw. Sharp claws extended from its left paw. Right then, Azzy once again felt soul power consumption. This time, it was decreased by 10,000, which means, this is its strongest attack. Like previously, a dark giant paw filled with black lightning energy appeared in the air and it slammed the shield. Azzy was standing behind the robot, felt the gush of air pushing him away. It wasn't the attack but was just the residual force. To his surprise, the cracks started appearing on this shield as well, but unlike the last one, the shield self-repaired itself at a quick speed. It was as if the shield was never damaged before. Chapter 38 Barton's Present. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the cracks on even the red shield, Barton realized that it has nothing to with either grade or strength. So, the beast doesn't have dark and lightning attributes but it contains the most destructive form of lightning, the black lightning. I have heard of this before. The energy from the black lightning essentially breaks the molecular structure of everything it hits. That means. He then glances at Azzy, who stabilized himself, and thought, does this boy have any relation to that lightning god? I should investigate his origins. An hour later, good job. You can take rest now, Batra. Azzy mumbled, sending the wolf back to the soul card as his soul power emptied. He felt depressed for not being able to do anything to the robot even though the wolf fought with everything it got. The only good thing that came out of this spar is that Azzy found out that his soul skill isn't divided between his arcana despite being staying in one soul card. The wolf has 4 soul skills and his own reaper has his fair share of another 4. So, it's like instead of a set arcana, he possesses twin arcana but just in one soul card. The reaper explained that it's due to the second awakening. While his second soul card is destroyed, the second arcana just transferred into the same space as the reaper because of their agreement. Azzy was now curious about his own soul skills but since he was in a situation where he can't use it, he didn't bother asking the reaper. Okay. I got an idea of your strength, Barton spoke to him while the robot stopped functioning. Come with me. He folds his hands to the back and started to walk. Azzy followed him. They reached the library on the third floor of the building. As he saw, the room was quite small, like a study room, and have only like 30 to 40 books on the bookshelves. The only unique thing about them was that they look quite old. Sit down. As he takes a seat, and the old man walked towards the shelves and started picking a few selective books. Thud, he put around 7 books on the table before him. As he looked at them, the books are quite thick and of course, a bit old. Advanced Applications of Runes by Abelia Griffin. As he picked up the first book, he was taken aback. He said, "But master, I don't even know the basics." Barton nodded, "I know. They aren't for the current you, right now." Then. Why? As he wondered. Barton explained, "The pass and the credit card I gave you yesterday is just a requirement. I haven't you presented with a gift." Gift? As he replied. "Today's not my birthday." Barton shook his head, "It's not a birthday present. It's a tradition of master would present their disciples with something. It is one of the things that didn't change since the first epoch." "Didn't your first master give anything?" As he was surprised. He thought about it. "No, Avia didn't give him a present." He shook his head, "No." Barton gloated inside, "I'm sure of it. His previous master did want to trick this little fellow. Ahem." He then clears his throat and pointed them, "Anyway, these 7 books. A few of them are from the 8th and 9th epoch and are preserved for thousands of years old. Consider them as my present." For someone who has a book from the first epoch, as he wasn't that impressed by how old they are. Still, he was thankful to him. After all, it's been 4 years since he received something from someone. Other than his grandpa, no one gave him a present. Even in the Death Clan, no one cared to give birthday greetings or present. As he then looked at the remaining books. Arcana Beasts and Their Behaviors by Cloud Inkwood, Rune Dictionary by Honora, Book of Arcana by Elanius, Advanced Card Crafting by Julius Light, Sealing Magic by Greterin, Sealing Magic. As he was intrigued by the word and picked up the book. He doesn't know why, but this subject interested him. When you gain control over your soul energy, you can start practice the sealing magic. It is an advanced subject that you start learning actually if you were admitted into the Advanced Academy. Oh. It was the only thing that escaped from Azzy's lips as he started reading the introduction. He was so engrossed in the reading that he didn't even realize Barton has long disappeared from the library and returned to his office. 2 hours later, his watch started to beep, bringing him back to reality. Oh. It's already 6. As he stopped the alarm and placed the books into his storage cart before leaving the place. Just as he reached the 2nd floor, he heard a conversation nearby the stairs on the ground floor. 2 boys are filling the water into the bottles. "Hey. I heard that you asked out Claire on a date. How did it go?" She said yes. "Nah, I was rejected." The other tone was filled with excitement instead of depression. "But she told me that she doesn't have any interest in those who aren't rank .5 yet. She probably didn't know that I'm already peak. Rank .4. It won't be long before I make a breakthrough." Hee. Strangely, as he felt this tone was familiar, but he can't put his finger on it. Shrugging his shoulders, he continued to climb down the stairs. Then, he heard the first one dragged his name into their discussion. "Damn. I knew it. She was just using an excuse to reject you. I heard that she took a fancy to that Azrael. What nonsense are you spouting?" He was enraged clearly upon hearing it. "I heard she was asking about him during today's class. Looks like it wasn't a coincidence that she sat next to him yesterday. Probably they knew each other before. They are the only foreigners in the school. So, maybe, it's quite possible he might have transferred because of her." As he was stunned on the spot, hearing his absurd analysis. Just how imaginative is this 15-year-old boy's mind is? Or maybe, he purposely want to irritate him further. If that's the case, then, he's successful, as his classmate's face turned dark and a growl escaped from him. That damn B asterisk 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 D. How dare he set his eyes on my girl, dot. Chapter 39 Retaliation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just how stupid is this guy? At the moment, Azzy got the urge to release the black wolf at this fool, but he held back and increased his pace. Tap tap asterisk tap asterisk tap asterisk. As they heard the sounds from above, both of them stopped talking and glanced at the stairs above them. All they saw is the person of their discussion coming towards them. They were surprised. What is this guy doing upstairs? Was he listening to their conversation in secret? As Azzy reached the downstairs, he ignored them and continued to walk on his way to the exit. You! Stop there, right now! Azzy heard a shout from behind. Along with him, there are a few students who stayed around, turned their attention. He stopped and turned around. He recognized one of them. It was the one who shouted at him during the lunch period. He stared at them with a blank face and asked with a plain tone. What? Did you hear our conversation, just now? Read, who agitated the fool, asked Azzy. Instead of wasting your time studying here, you should go and write a novel, Azzy said to him, indirectly implying that he heard it. He didn't wait for their reaction and turned around to walk away. You little sh asterisk asterisk, I told you to stop. Unable to contain his emotions, Bay Pasul dashed forward to punch Azrael. Right then, a dark aura was released by Azzy. No, it wasn't just a simple dark, it was a death aura that's mixed with Proto's energy. The students as well as the attacker felt a powerful pressure on them. Bay, who was supposed to punch, stopped in his tracks. His eyes widened in shock. What's strange is that he has higher soul power than Azzy, yet was crumbling under the pressure as if he was facing a higher rank Arcana master. Azzy turned around and looked at him. He wondered just what has he done to deserve so much hate from this stranger. They don't even know each other. For no reason, this senior cussed at him during the lunch period. Now that he was minding his business, once again, this guy even tried to attack, almost violating the rules. The more he thought about it, the more his rage increased and his aura started to thicken. The pressure also increased. The students who were in the same hall and were paying attention gasped. They too felt enormous pressure. Those who have purple or lower grade arcana felt their arcana spirits are terrified of this aura. It didn't make them feel good either. Perhaps, the other students who were in the training rooms sensed it. Leonard, Zona, and some students arrived at the scene. They saw Azzy was staring down at Bay, who was forcing himself to stand. As for the other behind him, he was already sitting on the stairs to take support. Stop it. What are you doing, Azrael? Leonard shouted in anger. But there was no response from Azzy. He started walking towards Bay, who had a panic expression as he was seeing an illusion of a reaper with a scythe was coming for his life. Unconsciously, he stepped backward. Azzy steps forward, Bay steps backward. He reached the steps and fell. Azzy stops. Stopping before him, Azzy spoke in a plain tone, as you can see, I can't control my strength. So, it's in your best interests not to poke me around. I don't want to accidentally kill you and get expelled. You mind your own business and I'll mind my own. Understand? He nodded in a daze. Azzy turned around and walked away. No one said anything for a while. From the corner of the hall, Claire was observing the situation. She was forcefully suppressing her divine aura that was almost leaking out after Azzy revealed his. Looking at his back, she mumbled, "What's this energy that's making my divine sword spirit so restless and expressing so much hate? It's as if he met his natural enemy. This isn't the first time either. It would be easier if it could communicate with me and tell me what's going on." Meanwhile, Leo was angry. He didn't know the whole story and just thought this troublemaker was bullying his follower. At first, he thought of stopping him, thinking that Azrael is going to attack Bay, but then, he felt his Arcana beast was scared of Azzy's dark or whatever aura that is. In the end, he just stood there like a statue until Azzy's back disappeared from his sight. At the same time, a person was observing the scene from the control room. Looking at the monitors, the man mumbled, "So this is the disciple of Barton. Interesting." He grinned. The rumors started with the truth that Bay tried to fight with Azzy because he was rejected by Claire. But, the rumors never stay the same. It becomes exaggerated as it passes from one ear to another. Without both of them knowing, Azzy and Claire already became a campus couple. Because of that, she decides to avoid him for a while. With Leo working behind the scenes, he successfully alienated Azzy. He was labeled as a bully and a bad guy who don't respect his seniors or teachers. Azzy was fine with it and thought it is for the best. After all, he doesn't want to spend time with people so that he doesn't feel any attachment when he leaves for his timeline. His classmates found him attends the morning classes regularly but disappears in the afternoon, only to find him again at the training grounds. Point 1 by the end of the day. Leonard knows the truth from one of the teachers. So, he didn't directly trouble Azzy either using the disciplinary committee. A week passed peacefully for Azzy without any troubles. He still wasn't able to create the Decarun ceiling to control his strength since he was busy with other things. The whole afternoon, he was taught by the principal about runes, history, a theoretical debate of how to combat a beast in different situations, card creation, etc. The second weekend arrived. As usual, everyone wore their school uniform and waited in their classrooms. Azzy arrived. Azzy. Gideon waved his hand with a smile. He took an empty but this distant relative of his sat beside him as usual. He's the only student who decided to stick with Azzy. While the grade point 10 students are unhappy with Gideon, the others didn't alienate him as they did with Azzy. Azzy wanted Gideon to stay away too, but he stuck to him like glue even though he stopped talking to him. Strangely, Leo also didn't make things hard for Gideon. Azzy can't help but suspect he might be just waiting for the right time. Grade point 8, the bus arrived. You need to go. Azzy followed the rest of the class. As he reached the downstairs, he saw everyone from grade point 9 and grade point 10 of elite divisions are gathered. Azzy felt a murderous gaze. He turned his head and saw Bay was staring at him. His eyes were red. Grade point 8 to grade 10 students from the elite division boarded the bus together. The other students are following in other vehicles provided for them. It didn't take long to reach their destination, the portal point. Chapter 40 Entering the World of Arcana. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hundreds of thousand years ago, when the Arcana world was still sealed in another dimension, humans tried various methods to enter the world. In the end, a rank point 10 Arcana master succeeded and built the first world portal, which was still functioning to date. Over the course of years, humans tried to replicate the world and created various portal points all over the world, but a portal point is a two-way entrance. So, the beasts were able to escape to the human world and cause chaos. During the first epoch, under the rule of the great empire of Arcana, various portals were destroyed and each kingdom started to monitor the portals from this world. On the other hand, they created a division called Guardians who stayed in Arcana world and monitor from the other side to make sure the beasts don't escape. However, as tens of thousands of years passed, the royal families fell and governments formed. The term Guardians changed to the Order of Arcana. Azzy closed the book as Gideon informed him that they arrived. Following the rest, he got down from the bus and saw a 10 meters big wall with a large gate in the middle. Above the wall, there's a barrier that blocks illegal entrances. So, people have no choice but to line up. There are 4 guards with their soul beasts, guarding the entrance. Leonard told everyone to wait in the side. Azzy followed the rest. A while later, Soul Beast and Soul Weapon divisions arrived in their respective vehicles and joined the group. Everyone waited until the teachers arrive. As he saw the beautiful Rune class teacher and the instructor from the division allotment test in the group. He didn't recognize the remaining 4 of them. All of them are peak.rank .5 experts, so they are enough to protect this bunch in a region like level .2. He then looked at his fellow schoolmates. His eyes met briefly with Claire before she turns her head away. So, Michael's sword was hiding himself in the spirit world, huh? The Reaper suddenly made a comment. Interesting, indeed. As he didn't understand his words, but since lately he realized that he became talkative, he thought the Reaper was once again talking to himself. He ignored him and continued to observe the other things. Under the lead of 6 teachers, the 90.5 students walked through the gate. As he stepped inside the compound, he saw a portal in the middle of a plain ground while there's a reception desk before with a middle-aged man sitting on the chair. One of the teachers spoke. Level .2, 101 passes. He answered, 20,200 credits. She handed him the credit card. Taking the card, he then glanced at the students and then the teachers. Okay, there are 101 in total. He then swiped it and passed it to the lady beside him. She then started giving a pass to each one of them. He also got the pass. It's an iron badge with their national symbol, a red fox engraved on it. Above the symbol, there are 2 stars. It means they are legally allowed only up to level .2 region. One by one, everyone is stepping into the portal without any reservations as it isn't their first time, but he felt a little bit nervous mixed with excitement as technically, he's traveling to a different planet, although on the outside, there are no visible changes on his face. Following the students before him, he moved as if he was stepping forward. The moment his body hits the portal, he felt his surroundings blacked out for just a second before his visibility returned. The place around him looks completely identical to that of the one he just entered. It was the same plain ground, surrounded by walls and a barrier with a portal in the middle and a reception desk, except that they are different people. The teachers took the students to a corner of the ground as part of the routine and instructor Herman took out a list. You all know the drill. When I speak your name, come forward and stand behind the teacher you are assigned to. First, Group A, Ms. Hazel will be your leader. From Grade 10, Reginald, Archer Philly, Elmore. Group B. Group C. Group D, all of you will be under my protection. From Grade 10. Leonard Light, Bay Passel, Reed Stripes, Dale Stripes, and Ginger Rose. Everyone gasped in surprise, but quickly, they closed their mouths. Gideon whispered to Azzy, all of them are from major noble clans/families of the kingdom and they belong to the same batch. Azzy didn't think much about it. Right then, the Reaper said to him, I'm sure your name will be in this group, Azrael. Azzy asked him in return, didn't you tell me that you can't tell me the future? It's something called common sense. I don't need to see the future to predict it. It is too obvious. Azzy quickly understood once he thought about it. Recalling Gideon's words, Azzy wondered whether this teacher is in cahoots with the prince. After all, he might also have a grudge on him for blowing up an expensive machine. Meanwhile, Herman continued. From Grade .9. Claire Lefevre, Acacia, Farrand Ogden, Kellen Stripes, Arminius, and Rainier. From Grade 8. Sylvester Stripes, Augustine, Angeline, Gideon, and Azrael. That's all. Please stand behind me. Azzy now confirmed his suspicions. Not only Azzy, even the others can't help but suspect there's a conspiracy going on. It's no coincidence that Azzy, Gideon, Bay, and Leonard ended up in the same group. But then again, since they don't have good intentions against Azzy, they pushed their worries to the back of their heads. After the other 2 groups were also announced, Herman further said, okay, let me remind you the important things, especially for Grade .8 students who are stepping inside the level .2 region for the first time. Don't wander too much after entering the wilderness and make sure not to get lost. Mobile phones don't work here, so we won't be able to communicate with each other. Even if you get lost in the wilderness, you don't need to despair. The level point 1 and level point 2 regions are always packed with people. So, you can find your way back here. The most important, don't lose the badge. It is kind of an identification document for us in this world. Lastly, keep your nationality confidential when you meet a stranger, especially if she is an adult. You wouldn't know which enemy country he is from. Understood. Everyone nodded in response.